Hello everyone. Welcome to the value added course Python programming for beginners and module 9. Today we learn about lists and tuples. This topic is dealt by me, that is Dr. P. SAMSON ANOSH BABU, Assistant Professor, Department of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, Chaitanya Bharathi Institute of Technology, Hyderabad, India. Let us jump into this module 9 lists and tuples. List. List is an ordered sequence of items. Lists are one of 4 built-in data types in Python used to store collections of data. The other 3 are tuple, set, and dictionary, all with different qualities and usage. List is one of the most used data type in Python and is very flexible. Lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Lists are similar to arrays in C. One difference is that all the items in a list can be of different type. The items in the list are separated by commas and created using square brackets. Here we could see how we can create list using list literal. The syntax is list name equals to, in square braces we have to write the elements. For example, A equals to, in the square braces we have to write 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3, Python, etc. For example, if you see, this list is the list name and we have written the elements apple, banana and cherry. Here there are 3 elements. If we print the list, this list, that is the list name, here we get the output, the same list, that is apple, banana, cherry. This way we can create the list using the square braces. Inside that we could put elements. The value stored in a list can be accessed using the slice operator, that is the colon within the square braces. The indices starts at 0 in the beginning of the list and ending with -1. The plus sign is the list concatenation operator and the asterisk is the repetition operator. Lists are ordered, changeable and allow duplicate values. Lists are ordered. Ordered means that the items have a defined order and that will not change. If we add new items to a list, the new items will be placed at the end of the list. Moreover, there are some list methods that will change the order, but in general, the order of the items will not change. Lists are changeable, meaning that we can change, add, and remove items in a list after it has been created. Since lists allow duplicate values, they can have items with the same value. For example, this list equals to apple, banana, cherry, apple, cherry. This list allow duplicate values. That means here apple came twice and that will be considered as different items. List index. An index represents the position number of an list element. List items are indexed. The first item has index 0. The second item has index 1, etc. For example, if we consider a list name A and having the elements as 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 and Python. If you see the indexes, A of 0, that is index 0 is 10. 10 is located at the index 0th position. And A of 1 and A of 2, A of 3, A of 4. This way the index is started from the 0 index and the value 10 is stored at 0th location of the index. And at first position of the index, the value 20 is stored. And at second index position, minus 50 is stored. And at third index, 21.3 is stored. And at fourth index, Python is stored. This list also at the end it's used to store Python, that is the index -1. From the back side, if you come, the index used to reduce. There is -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. Here this 10 used to have 2 indexes. If you consider in A of 0 and A of -5, both are same, both are accessing the same element 10. If we want to retrieve the elements from the end of the list, you could use -1. Here, a of -1 represents the element which is located at the end of the list, that is Python. Here we see list operations. If you represent a list with empty square braces, that defines an empty list. If you write list of I equals to x, here that means this list is storing x at index location I. List of I, if you write, it retrieves the item with index I. Here it gives the item which is located at the position of the index I. If we write list -1, it retrieves the last item. List of I colon j. Here it retrieves items in the range I to j. Delete d list, that means del space list of I. It removes the item with index I. If we see few examples of list, we can understand more clearly. Here if we consider two lists, F list and S list. F list is the first list that we have taken the elements ABCD 147, 2.43, Tom 74.9. And we have also considered another list, that is S list, that is having the elements 111, that is 111, and Tom, two elements it is having. If you want to print this first list, F list, if you want to print, you can write print and that list name, that is F list. Print of F list, if you type, it will print that F list elements. If you want to access the 0th index location element, you can write F list name, that is F underscore list of 0. 0 represents the index number. At index location of 0, ABCD is present. It is printing that first element of that list, ABCD. If we'd like to print the elements starting from second and up to 3, here you can write F underscore list in square braces. You have to write 1 colon 3. That represents prints the elements starting from this index 1, that is the second element, and up to third index, that represents here from index 1, that is 147, and up to 3, that means before 3, that is before third index, that is 2.43. So this will print to index 1 and index 2, that is 147 and 2.43. We move forward with more examples. If you see print elements starting from third element, you have to write F underscore list 2 colon 2 is the starting index location. That is, if you observe F list, ABCD is 0 index, 147 is first index, and 2.43 is the second index. Here 2 colon represents from second index, that is 2.43 onwards up to the end of the list. Print the list 2 times. We can use asterisk symbol to print the list multiple times. Suppose if you would like to print the second list twice, we can write second list, that list name S underscore list, and asterisk symbol, that is a multiplication symbol, and 2. So this S list will be printed twice, that is 111, comma Tom, comma 111, comma Tom. We can also concatenate list using plus operator. Here this plus symbol adds 2 lists. If you would like to add 2 lists, F list and S list, you can simply write, and you can also print both the lists, that is print of F list plus S list, that gives that printout of combination of both the lists. List update. Lists are mutable, so we can modify its element. For example, if there is a list A equals to 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 on Python. Here, if you would like to update the value at index 1, that is at index 1 the value present is 20, and if you'd like to change that value 20 to 40, it is possible in list. See that representation at the index 0 location 10 is present, at index 1 position 20 is present, and so on. We would like to change the value at a of 1, that is at index 1 of this A list, we'd like to change the value of 20 to 40. It is possible. List deletion. To remove an item from a list, there are two methods. We can use del statement or remove method. Here for del statement, we have to give the index value, and for remove method, we have to give the element. If you observe this example demo of list deletion, there is a list ABCD 147, 2.43, Tom 74.9. We can print the list, and also further if you would like to delete the item which is present at index 2, that is at index 2 the item is 2.43. If we write del space that list name with that index number 2, so that item will be deleted. After printing, we could see that that item is not present after deletion. Using remove method, how we could remove this element we see. For that, you have to write the list dot remove, that list name dot remove, and in braces you have to mention the element. If you are writing Tom, that is you would like to remove the last element Tom, so you can simply write list name dot remove of Tom, then you can print that list, then that item is not present in the printed list. List function. We can use list and range function to create a list. Here we see how the list function in combination with the range function to create a list. If you observe the syntax, list of range of start, stop, and step size. For example, if you see list of range of 0, 5, and that prints the list from 0 to 4, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 4 it will consider. Here the step size is 1, default step size is 1. So default value no need to write in this range function. If the step size value changes, you could mention that the step size at the last of this range function. Built-in functions. Here we could see multiple built-in functions which are present in list. First one we could see length of a list. If you write length in braces that list name, it gives the total length of the list. Demo of length of list. If we consider the example list 1 equals to ABCD 147, 2.43 and Tom, if you print this length of that list name, length of list 1, it will given 4. That is the 4 is the size, that is the length of the list, that is it contains 4 elements in the list. Max of list, it returns items from the list with the maximum value. If you see the example, if the list 1 contains the values 1200, 147, 2.43 and 1.12, if you'd like to extract this maximum value from that list, you can write max of list name. In this example, 1200 is the maximum value, so the output came as 1200. Similarly, we can retrieve the item which is minimum in the list. For that, you have to write minimum of that list name. If you see the example, if you write minimum of that list 1 for the same list 1, it will give the output 1.12. Here in the list, 1.12 is the minimum element. If you see another built-in function, that is list constructor. Here inside that you can write one sequence that this constructor can be used with any iterable object. That sequence represents one iterable object. That sequence could be any list or tuple, set or dictionary and their components, strings and many others. If you see this list constructor syntax, list and in braces you could mention the iterable. List of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is a tuple. If you write this list of and inside that the iterable object, that is tuple, it is converting the tuple into the list. If you write inside this braces the objects, iterable object, and the sequence of set, here we mentioned a set example. Here list of and that particular set sequence is there. If you write like this, it will give the just conversion to the list. And similarly, if you write one string, that is a Python star, and if you would like to convert this as a list, it will separate the strings into individual characters. This way you can use the list constructor to convert certain iterable objects into a list. We can also use map function. Map executes a specified function on each element. Here you have to mention a function and also a sequence. If you see the example to demonstrate working of map, here addition is the function name. Addition of 1, addition of n. Here addition, that is making the element value double. Here we double all numbers using map function. Here the input is numbers and it is a tuple. It is having 1, 2, 3, 4. Tuples we discuss in this same class in the upcoming slides. Result equals to map of addition comma numbers. Here the syntax represents a function and a sequence. Here the function is addition and the sequence is numbers. Here the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 will be given as input to this function, and that function will be applied and the result will be stored in the result. And finally we are converting that result into a list. The output for this program is the 1, 2, 3, 4 are doubled using this addition function, and the result we got as 2, 4, 6, 8, and the result we transform to list. We see more methods now, built-in methods in the list. Initially we see the append method. This method list.append of that object appends an object obj passed to the existing list. If you see the syntax of this list name.append of new element, see the example. A is the list. It contains 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 and Python. If you write this a.append and the new element, we'd like to append 65.4 to the existing list A. So you have to write a.append of that element value. If you print that A, the value is added at the end of the list. That is at the last position of the list. The another built-in method is index. This method returns index of the first occurrence of the object obj if found, otherwise raise an exception. The syntax of this index is list name dot index and have to give element. See the example. A is the list and index of 20, that is the element 20, the index you would like to know, and also 20 is repeated twice in this list. So this index list.index, that a.index of 20, it gives the first occurrence of the object if found. So first occurrence of 20 is present at index 1. So the output it gave as 1. And if any element, if you give that is not present in the list, that will give some exception. That is a.index of 100. 100 element is not present in this list. So it raised an exception, that is value error 100 is not in the list. Another built-in method is extend. This method appends the contents in a sequence passed to a list. The syntax, if you see list name.extend, if you would like to extend a list, we could use this method. See the example. A contains 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 and Python. If you'd like to extend this list with another sequence, that is another list having 1, 2, 3 elements, simply write a.extend and 1, 2, 3 is a list. So these 1, 2, 3 elements will be appended as contents to the end of the existing list. So the output is 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 Python 1, 2, 3. Another built-in function is reverse. This method reverses the order of elements in the list. Syntax list name dot reverse. See the example 10, 20, minus 50, 21.3 and Python. If you simply apply a dot reverse, the list A will be reversed. And if you print that, the items all are reversed. Another built-in method is insert. Here, it returns a list with object ob is inserted at the given index. It needs that element value and index position. The syntax is list name dot insert of index location and new element. See the example at third index position, you would like to insert 45 element. So you have to write a dot insert 3 is the index position and 45 is the new element. So if you print at the third index location, that is at 0th location 10 and first index 20 and second index minus 50 and at the third index 45 is been inserted. List dot sort is another built-in method. Here you can sort the items in a list and return the list. Here the list name dot sort having few options. We see that options. Here key equals to none and reverse equals to false. Whenever the reverse is false, the list used to sort in ascending order. The elements in the list A equals to 10, 20, 1, 3, 22 and 65 are sorted in an ascending manner. So for that you have to write reverse equals to false. Another example, if you put reverse equals to true, the items in the list will be sorted in the descending order. Another built-in list method is pop. This method removes the last object by default and even pop out an element specified by position number. The syntax is list name dot pop of that index. If you see the example at index 2, that whatever the element present at index 2 will be removed from the list. A dot pop of 2, that is minus 50, is present at index 2 position, that will be removed. Another is clear. This clear method removes all the items from a list. The syntax is list name dot clear. If you see the example a dot clear, if you write a is the list and print a, it outputted one empty square bracket that represents the empty list. That is all the elements have been removed. List dot copy is another built-in method. This method returns a copy of the list. That is a separate copy of all the elements stored in another list. Both the lists are independent, the created one and the existing one. List the syntax, if you see list name 2 equals to list name 1 dot copy. Here if you observe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is a list 1 and having that indexes, the list name as A. If you copy that list, the list will be copied and that can be given another name B. For that you could write the statement as A equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and B equals to A is the list name, that is the first list name and dot copy had to write. So all the contents, all the elements of this list here will be copied to B and both the lists are independent. List as stacks. Stack, if we observe, stack is a data structure where the last element added is the first element retrieved. We can also say stack as the last in, first out data structure. To add an item to the top of the stack, use append. To retrieve an item from the top of the stack, use pop without an explicit index. If you see the stack operations, there are two operations we use. List name dot append and the new object represents a new element, and the list name dot pop, this pop retrieves an items from the top of the stack. To see one example, stack is 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, and if you like to insert, that means if you want to append the stack with a new element that is 60, you can write stack dot append of that 60. After appending, the stack became 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and 60. And if you write pop, that means if you would like to retrieve that top of the element, that means if you want to delete the top of the element, so the last element will be deleted. Stack.pop, if you write without an explicit index, it removed that last element, that is 60. If you print the stack after popping, that will be 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. List as queues. Q, first in, first out. Q is a data structure where the first element added is the first element retrieved. Python provides a module called collections in which a method called DQ is designed to have fast appends and pops from both ends. Here we can see few operations. List name equals DQ, list name dot append, list name dot pop left and pop right. Q, from collections import DQ and the elements are apple, orange, pear, and Q dot append cherry, Q dot append grapes. Here we are adding two elements, cherry and grapes, to the existing Q. If you print that Q, it is printing DQ, apple, orange, pear, cherry, and grapes. If you write pop list, Q dot pop left, the first element now leaves the list, that is apple from the list. And again, if you write pop left, the left element, that is orange is the second element that is now leaving the list. So if you print that, the remaining elements will be printed pear, cherry, and grapes. Passing list to function. Here we can pass a list to a function while calling function. Here for example, LST is a list name and having the contents 10, 20, 30 and Python. Just you are another function you are having, that function name is show, and it takes input the list. So you are passing this list LST to show function. So show of LST. So this method show will be called and it is printing the list. Print L, a total list will be printed. Print type of the L, that is the data type of this L, that is a list. And for I in L, it is printing the elements. It is printing all the elements in that list. Nested list. A list within another list is called as nested list or nesting of a list. Here A is a list and inside this list we are having another list as element 50 and 60. And we can also name that as a B, another list, B equals to 50, 60. We can also write that as A equals 10, 20, 30, B. B is the list. B represents another list. There is a nested list, a list within another list. You can also write a few lists inside another list, that is A equals to 10, 20, 30 is one list that is considered as one element, and 40, 50, 60 is another list that can be also considered as the next element of the list. Similarly, we can write in the following manner.